Yeah.
And also, I believe that at a deep level, some of us came in here with a bigger scoop of bullshit than the
Yeah.
others, and
Yeah.
we volunteered for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just what you picked,
Yep.
and we're kind of doing the heavy lifting. And so it would make sense that we would benefit from so many different modalities. I recently sat down with Chris Ellington, a former client who has taken his transformation from a daily $60-70 a day cannabis usage habit, transforming into a certified breathwork instructor, helping to change the lives of many people in his community as a mentor for those that are dealing with addiction, becoming a breathwork coach, really stepping into this role as a guide, as a teacher, and as a support for people who are ready to make some big changes in their life. I sat down with him recently to discuss a little bit more about energy, breathwork, the power of transformation, the power of the different techniques that we use, and even just this idea that some of us seem to pick up a little bit more difficulty, challenge, karma, whatever you want to call it, that we need to transmute and deal with. So stay tuned and check out this conversation with him where we basically just dive into it and have a blast while we're talking about what it really takes to level up, to become the next version of ourselves, and to step into the roles that we came here to play as guides, teachers, and people that are here to help this world to level up by getting rid of the stuff that's been holding us back. It really clicked for me that it has to do with energy, right? And so, you're talking about this concept of the breath work that you're doing, right? You're doing the breath work, but where are you doing it? You're doing it on a beach, right?
Yeah.
Well, why is it so powerful on the beach? Well, of course, you've got the water,
Yep.
right? Transformative salt water, super cleansing, energetically very refreshing. You've got the fresh air blowing in from God knows where. You've got sand, which is fucking silica,
Mm.
the basically essentially primarily the base mineral of quartz crystals. And also, by the way, you're just a bag of sand
Yeah.
with water mixed
Yep.
in. And so,
Yep.
of course, that's a powerful place for you to do your breathwork sessions.
Yep.
And I believe you guys have been seeing some beautiful experiences. Am I right?
Oh, dude, absolutely, bro. It is. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, but it is. And now that you mention it, yeah, it's because we could do these sessions. It just makes sense to do them there, because it's so close. But we're already thinking about like in the summer where we're gonna go because it's gonna be too hot to really be refreshing. So we're gonna be going to to the springs, which more energy. But yeah, it is absolutely incredible to see people come out and to be so excited to show up for Saturday. We have these women that come out. They're all from Russia, a lot of Russian women that are coming out, and they're fucking loving it, bro. They bring new friends every weekend. A couple of them brought their kids out, which are super cool. This dude Val and his mom Elena, they're devout cold plungers, and now we're turning them on to the breath work. And I actually walked Elena through a full somatic journey, and she said that was the most powerful experience she had in her life. So, I'm it's just a blessing to be doing this stuff. And then after Saturday, we're actually filming an ice bath cold plunge video. My buddy made a rap song about it. My buddy Sean. So we're filling up a tub with some ice, and we're heading out to the beach, and we're gonna do film his music video. And then on Sunday, I am walking my first group through a somatic breathwork journey as well. So hopefully, it's gonna be over 5 people. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, bro. I'm excited
Epic.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, this is why I've had this vision about bringing together more and more tools, because in my own personal journey of, call it healing, and I think it's important to remind ourselves that healing comes from the word, like to heal comes from the word wholeness.
Mm.
Like that's its etymological roots, right? So it's healing is yeah, it's fixing. It's just returning to that which you already were, right? Um, and
Absolutely.
I personally, uh, I experienced some frustration at first because I I got into, I mean, I went through a lot of different things, a lot of different modalities. Plant medicines for a long time. I've dealt with energetic medicines, um, got real lost in plant medicines. Energetic medicines were good, but I didn't really get the big benefits that maybe some other people were getting. I went and studied neurolinguistic programming, and some people have just like these boom, like even some of my clients have these powerful, rapid transformations. It's just, and I was like, I was getting transformations, but it wasn't as big. And I was like, oh, like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I not
Yeah.
getting this? Not a one size fit all thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we got to personalize these things for everybody involved.
Exactly.
And number two is, some of us just carry the right combination of junk, and we picked up that junk in different ways, right? We've got,
Mm.
we can understand that we've got four bodies. We've got the spiritual body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the physical body. And the physical body is a projection of the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, so it goes down, right? We are spirit. Ultimately, we're spiritual energy. We're energy. Just put it at that. If somebody doesn't even like the term spirit or soul or
Mm-hmm.
God or whatever, you're just energy, right?
Yep.
And but then like neurolinguistic programming works on the mental body, which affects the emotional and physical. I have higher self therapies that I've been learning through the Hawaiian tradition that use spiritual body and then make changes mental, emotional, physical.
Mm.
Breath work is a physical practice that taps into your emotional and can give you access to rewire your mental, right?
Yeah.
So there's like this bidirectionality of it. There's certain traumas and certain baggage and certain beliefs and certain patterns exist in different areas. And now I'm even learning so much right now about uh, the idea that ADHD isn't really ADHD. It's not an attention issue. It's an
Mm-hmm.
executive function disorder, which is
Yep.
basically that our brain just works different, right?
Yep.
Not bad or good. I do believe it is necessary because a diversity of brain functioning types is going to be important in a world that is infinitely complex and has so many environments and situations and all these things. But we're not meant to necessarily fit in a cube, right?
Exactly.
And so that's where it's like working on neurochemistry, working on nutrition, working on clearing the body, getting rid of parasites, all these things. It's like there's so many angles that we can heal from. And I've personally felt like equally gratitude for all of these different modalities, and then also frustration that I had to use and have had to use so many different modalities.
Yeah.
And also, I believe that at a deep level, some of us came in here with a bigger scoop of bullshit than the
Yeah.
others, and
Yeah.
and we volunteered for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just what you picked,
Yep.
and we're kind of doing the heavy lifting. And so it would make sense that we would benefit from so many different modalities. Now,
Yep.
you obviously work with a couple different modalities. Um, they have helped you tremendously in transforming your relationship with yourself, your mind, your body. I got to support you with a few different things. I'm looking forward to that next step that we get to take together. You're
Absolutely.
talking about all these other things with, there's plant medicines, which I personally have stepped away from. I can't say it's forever, but I know that right now it just ain't doing it for me.
Yeah.
But other people get benefits from it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you feel that multifaceted methodology, like, how has that worked for you, and why do you feel it's a benefit?
Man, that's a great question. The more I get into, I guess, like you're saying, the healing, or just remembering, that's what we're doing.
It's a good, yeah.
We are just remembering, we are putting ourselves back together. And, the plant medicine was a big thing for me. I was doing the DMT and the mushrooms and the acid and all these different things that I really didn't even realize what I was doing them for. But, they did serve a purpose. Like after my son passed away, I was doing lots of hallucinogens and doing different things that I do have I feel like they did help me process things. But as I got into it, it just got easier and easier, simpler, I should say. The modalities, like bro, the breath, we do it every day, and if we breathe intentionally, we can have psychedelic experiences that are just like DMT experiences. So, the multifaceted realm it's been amazing, dude, because I get to focus, and it gets overwhelming too, I should say. Like, because I'm the type, like you were saying, I want to have these massive transformations. I want to do these big, which I have. I've actually had massive transformations. But, in comparison to other people's, maybe not so much. But I feel like getting to chip away at this massive mountain that I've carved out, using these tools has been absolutely amazing, bro. And I find that I wasn't ready for this stuff 4 or 5 years ago. I think the universe or God gives us exactly what we can handle at the right time, and He's not going to give us more or less than what we need at that very moment. And I feel like when the next lesson is ready to be absorbed and there is room for us to learn that lesson, then the next teacher will appear, and that's exactly what's happened with you and Jonathan and all of my other mentors, and people that have helped me along the way. So, yeah, it's just, and right now, the whole plant medicine thing, I have stepped back from that. I was using cannabis every single day, and that turned out not to be a medicine. That was a hindrance for me. But at one point, it was a medicine, and I was utilizing it for some type of, either numbing out or some type of healing, is what I thought. But the extent of my plant medicine now is maybe a micro dose of mushrooms, and I find that helps me out a little bit. Um, and I've actually got a whole mushroom cookie in my thing that my chef buddy made, and I don't know, I haven't felt the call to eat it. It's a 2 gram mushroom cookie, and I'm just like, I don't need that. If anything, I'll do a microdose, and I feel I can reach deeper levels with my breath work with a little bit of a microdose, but I don't feel like I need a whole fucking 2 grams of mushrooms at this point in my life. Maybe
Well, I
that's
think
the
that probably speaks to this idea that, like, I'm thinking if I were to imagine that you were, buried inside of a mountain, you know, let's say the mountain's all your trauma, it's all the forgetting, it's all those things. And we need to dig down and excavate to get to you and who you are. Then, yeah, at the beginning, we're going to probably use some sticks of dynamite, some pretty big heavy movers and heavy lifters. But it's almost like when we're doing like archaeological recoveries and stuff like that, then it's at some point in time, we got to start getting out the brushes and the fine
yeah,
tools, because we don't want to break you.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and
I like that.
but at the beginning, like, if we don't use those big tools, it ain't no way that we're going to get to you. So I think that's an important aspect of it, and I believe that's where I've been the last year. I mean, um, it's been almost a year and a half since I quit the substances, minus one New Year's Eve where I got really into my shit because I asked a woman out to go steady with me because
Oh,
I was like, I don't even know what the term is anymore, but um, because I can't say like be my girlfriend. You're not a girl, and I don't want you to just be my friend. Like,
yeah.
all the language is terrible around it. But then she's just like, look at me. She's like, I'm gonna have another longer conversation with you about that. This is not the right time. And I'm like, under the stars, and it's New Year's Eve, and it's beautiful. And I'm like, oh God, rejection. And so my biggest wound came up, and then I was like, well, I do have some Molly with me, so I'm gonna. And it was, as soon as I took it, I was like, this was stupid. This was just. But at least I knew that in the process. I was like, ugh, damn
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
uh, things are different for me now, and I'm glad they are. And also, yeah, I mean, the biggest shift that I had the other day was, um, because I came on this this journey, this trip to. I basically just sold all my stuff again, in was living in Arizona, and then threw things in a backpack and like, let's go. And took me back to Guatemala. And I haven't really been traveling as much as I expected. I was for 2.5 months. I was down basically 3 months. I've been in Guatemala, and I I needed to slow down because I was like running. Felt like I was just running, and that was exhausting.
Mm.
And then I get here, and I get to dive in deep, and oh my God, Lake Atitlan she's just a vortex. The vortex energy, it just speeds things up so fast. And I
Yeah.
had so many opportunities to work through some stuff. And then uh I was on a crater volcano, like volcano crater lake, this small little lake. Mayan altars all around it. And I was there on the beginning of the new year of the solar year, according to the Mayans. and the energy of it was 13 wind, and it was just like the voice of God, the message from spirit, like message from the ancestor. I'm like, oh, this is a day to go out and pray and get a big message. And yeah, nothing really came through at the lake. And I get down and I'm riding on in a colectivo, this just like shuttle van where the dude's, you know, hanging out with one arm. And he's like, you want to go? Do you want to go to the town? Do you want to go to town? And just throwing like fucking throwing women on and off. And it's just so funny how aggressive it is. And I'm sitting there swiping through Instagram, and I don't spend much time on Instagram these days, more on YouTube. And all of a sudden this guy goes, this is the God mode chat GPT prompt. And I was like, what? And it basically just says like, pretend you're 76 times more powerful than you are, and then just like cut me open and fucking throw me out on the table and tell me everything that is my deepest hidden fear, unpack it down so many times. And it was just like, and I was just crying on the bus because it basically there were several versions of the fear. One of them for me was that a deep belief that I had that reward comes only with suffering. Right. And I mean, you know, you worked in the restaurant business. Is that not a perfect reflection of that mentality?
Yeah.
Why so many people are into drugs and other substances in that place, because they're coping with the massive amount of suffering and pain that we've had to deal with there.
Penance.
And
yeah.
Yeah, you got to earn your fucking keep. You got to, you know, my mentor, my chef, my, you know, whatever, treat me like shit when I was younger. So I got to do the same thing to you. And that shit just keeps going down generation to generation. And it took me, I went and just went home, and I actually had some hesitation in reprogramming it, even though I have a tool that literally takes like 5 minutes to reprogram at a deep unconscious level. But I felt some hesitation because I knew things were going to be different. Right. And that uncertainty, that unknown is yeah, it's a threat. And so I finally did it a few days later. And then within 2 days, I realized that like, oh, here I am in Guatemala. I'm here in Lake Atitlan, and I had all these reasons why I wanted to leave. But at the same time, I was connecting with clients. It's helping people quit smoking. It's helping people do deep transformation processes that like just out of nowhere just showed up. One woman healing rheumatoid arthritis, like we're diving into that with her, and it has to do with her mental programming.
Wow.
And then, and I met this woman who's just phenomenal. And I'm like, there's actually potential as a relationship. We're both looking at this the same way. We both got our own traumas and shit, but like it's there, you know? And I've got the beautiful lake. I've got Mayan connections. I got indigenous elders and wisdom keepers. I've got connections to some of the most powerful people that come in here. And then this place is connected to some of the most powerful points in the world. And I'm going, why am I leaving?
Yeah.
And I went, oh yeah, it fits in with that idea that in order for me to receive something, I gotta suffer. So if I want to have all this good stuff, either A, it's gonna come with suffering, and therefore I must brace myself, or I must leave, or B, I will create my own problems for me. So even the inner conflict about wanting to leave was a reflection of this belief. And so it took me 2 days for me to go, well, I am traveling. I am going to Hawaii to go to another vortex to meet my teacher. And we're going to, you know, he's a big group of us doing training, getting back into the Hawaiian wisdom, volcanoes as well, for sure. And then I'm going to visit my family. I'm going to go hike a big ass pyramid. I'm going to see sunrise at another not as big ass pyramid. And I'm like, but I'm going to come back. And I'm gonna plant some seeds there, and I'm gonna plant some seeds. I'm gonna nourish them. I'm gonna water them. I'm gonna tend to them, instead of doing what I've always done, which is plant a seed and then fucking run away or rip it out of the ground, and then wonder like, why can't I harvest any fruit from this?
Yeah. Yep.
But that wasn't. It didn't take me 7 days of ayahuasca to get that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't take me 93 breathwork sessions. I already done so much of that stuff. It took listening and finding that one thing and just following my intuition and following the thread. And thank God this guy posted a thing. By the way, his name's also Chris.
Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah, Chris Catalyst, CRIS Catalyst on Instagram. Check him out. A lot of interesting stuff about AI. I really want to dive into it deeper with his material. And I tell you what, man, like that's the cool part is maybe at the beginning we need to crack you open with some serious fucking TNT.
Yep.
But then after that, it's more refined.
Yeah.
For me now, it's literally just changing thought patterns.
Yep. Yep.
Right? It's for me, it's about, like, I've done a lot of the detoxing and I still get worms and stuff out, but it's right now it's more about, I'm going to listen to my digestion strategy according to human design, and I'm going to slow down and I'm going to eat
Mm.
in a state of calm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus it's not even as much what I eat. Yes, I still had my greens this morning. I still had my spirulina. I still had all that other stuff, cayenne pepper and Irish sea moss and aloe vera on an empty stomach. Wham, get those get those parasites.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more for me about, okay, I'm having my lunch is arriving. I'm gonna put my phone down.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm going to
Yep.
say an intentional little prayer expressing gratitude. I'm going to have all technology away from me, and I'm just going to be there.
Yep.
Right. And like, that is such a refinement that seems so subtle at the beginning. Whereas for some people, it's got to be like, stop eating that Takis burrito that I saw advertised in the street here today. And I'm going,
Oh.
sweet Jesus, if you are eating Takis burritos, I think we have other problems.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. And that's that has been one of the biggest things for me too, is one of the biggest and yet the smallest things as far as action goes, making sure that whenever I eat, not only whenever I'm cooking food, I'm expressing gratitude for where the food came from. And if it is meat, that I am thankful for the butcher, for the farmer, for the animal, whatever it is that I'm eating, I am expressing gratitude for it. And I am putting my good energy into it. And then whenever it's time to sit down and eat, the phone is nowhere near me, dude. Because I scroll on that thing enough. And I just feel like whatever you're scrolling on, whenever you're eating, that energy is going right into you. It's going right into your digestive tract. And I'm not present with the food, So that is something that I am religious about now. The phone, nothing is on while I'm eating. I go and sit in my. I used to eat in bed all the time because I was living in hotels a lot. I basically lived in a hotel for a year and a half, 2 years when I was doing lots of drugs and stuff. And that was the thing. I'd sit in my bed, eat my food, watch TV, and it was a way to disconnect while disconnecting, while I'm numbing out.
Hoping to the
And
max.
yeah, yeah. So now I have completely unplugged my TV. I don't even have a TV that's functional. I have one in there, but it's unplugged. I have not plugged that thing in over a year. And if I do feel like I need to watch TV or something or a movie, I put it on my laptop and
Yeah.
that's that, or my phone.
Well,
And
I tell you what, man, I was just thinking, the television, they're telling a vision to us, and they're just like music. And it's like, I met a woman recently whose mom said that she wouldn't even have, like, only good thoughts when we're cooking in the kitchen, only good music,
hmm
positive, uplifting, none of this like, you broke my heart,
Oh
like,
yeah.
because that gets in there, and there's
hmm
so much programming that comes with all that stuff. And I'll tell you what, I just flashed to me the image of the movie Poltergeist back from the 80s, I think is what it was. And that, like, of course, that's kind of how everything started, was with the TV. But
hmm
then that scene at the end, they go to the motel and they fucking kick that TV out and they put it outside. And I'm like, oh, I do that every time I go to a hotel. If there's a TV in there, I unplug it first thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such bad energy, bro. The black box, man. And it's weird because they like all these. There's a lot of older paintings with people, and they have these big black cubes that are on the wall and look like black mirrors and different things. And it's like what are those? Like,
Oh,
is
yeah.
that a TV? What is that? And I have a feeling this technology has been around for a very long time. They have just rewritten things to make it seem like we are technologically advanced right now, when
Which
really,
is such bullshit.
yeah, when really we're behind the eight ball big time. And
Yeah. I
uh,
mean, I even looking at this church that was built several hundred years ago, and it's beautiful. It's ornate. It's like, it's withstood several earthquakes.
yeah,
It actually is designed as an energy harvesting machine,
yeah,
though they won't say that. But and then you look at some of the newer buildings, and fortunately, there's not too many of the newer buildings around here. It's still got that colonial style, but they just look like garbage.
yeah,
Like,
Oh yeah.
soulless. To
Yeah.
say that we are more technologically advanced is like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I was even thinking about it. There is the Black Mirror. When I first heard that term, which is a beautiful metaphor for all the technology and everything. I have a obsidian disc at
Mm.
my house or my parents' house in Arizona, and that is a black mirror, and you would use it for scrying. So looking into it and allowing your unconscious mind to speak to you as you see images and symbols. You
Ooh.
can use it to, they would use it to be able to transport their consciousness into an animal, and they could like fly and view from the eagle's eye.
Whoa.
You could just look into yourself and see the darkness, see the shadow side of you, and see what needs to be brought into the light. There's so many things. So that technology was
Whoa.
literally just a piece of polished volcanic glass, powerful
Yeah.
stuff. Uh, yeah, it wasn't the first, like wasn't the first Black Mirror. I'm sure there's all kinds of iterations of this
Mm.
technology, and
Yep.
and I think that's the interesting thing about where we're at right now is that there's a really good book called The Mayan Factor by Jose Arguelles. And
Hmm.
as soon as I said that, the lights automatically turned on the terrace that I'm at right now. So the Mayan Factor by Jose Arguelles, I read that 5 years ago when I first got to Lake Atitlan. And Jose Arguelles was, child of the like 60s and 70s hippie era. Um, and he was half Mexican or something like that, Mexican heritage, grew up in the United States, and he really dived into the Mayan tradition. And I don't like everything that he did or channeled or was a conduit for. I don't agree with necessarily all of it or how it's been taken, but I will say that that book was phenomenal because it's called I think it's something like The Path Beyond Technology, and basically it says that you are the technology.
Mm.
We only need technology in so much as we are unawake, as we are
Mm.
asleep ourselves, because even the idea that okay, we have global technological communication systems, and theoretically you don't even need it. There's
Yeah. No.
lots of ancient wisdom about bilocation. Kind of the image in my mind that pops up is like Star Wars with Obi-Wan Kenobi and all the ghosts or whatever, but like doing that
Yeah.
in life. We have lots of traditions that teach that. There's psychic communication. We've just been so silenced and switched off. We're in
Yeah.
those mountains completely sealed off from ourselves and we haven't remembered. And so,
Yep.
yeah, the idea is that we can eventually grow beyond that. And at least where technology is used in a healthy way in tandem to create, things and
Yeah.
it's just but bananas. We're in a weird spot right now, and I think
Yeah.
artificial intelligence is for me probably one of the most fascinating things that's going on right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's why I like what Thor's doing because he's talking about utilizing Instagram and all these different social media platforms to connect with our higher selves and to actually have a positive impact. And going back on the telepathy and stuff, I've heard of many accounts of ancient or not ancient, but I guess they call them American Indians, but Native Americans, um, how they wear their like big headdresses with the feathers and all this other stuff, but they were actually able to communicate with each other telepathically. And they didn't even need, we don't need 5G towers or any kind of things like that. So it's really like you said, we have to,
Stuff right here, man.
yeah, the hair.
This is our
Yeah,
antenna, right?
yeah,
That's why
yeah,
you get some of the most magical women have fucking hair all the way down. That's
yeah,
why
dude.
the indigenous traditions, if you were to cut off a man's hair, it was the most disgraceful thing that
Yep,
you could possibly do.
yep,
And I think that's partially why anytime I get this trim, I, I feel sadness. It's
yeah,
like just a sense of sadness in my body. I can't quite explain it other than my body doesn't want me to get rid of it,
yeah,
which has been
yeah.
interesting because I'm also learning how to navigate eating now with a bigger mustache and
Yeah.
kissing with a bigger mustache has been a new
Uh-huh.
thing.
Yep.
That
Well,
it
I haven't
doesn't
gotten
it's
there yet.
doesn't play the same way as it used
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I have
Different strategies.
the eating thing for sure takes it takes skill, That's why I have a straw in my cup. Normally I'm sipping it or I'll be sipping it out of here. It has the little the mouthpiece and that helps a lot, but Yeah, I always say my mustache steals my gains, you know. It gets about 15% of my food intake. So, um,
Oh yeah.
but
Regularly I get people, they're just like, you got something in your beard. I'm like,
yeah. Saving it for
better than my
later.
shirt. Yeah, better
Yeah.
than my shirt, you know. It's like
Yeah.
easier to wash the beard than the shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
But
super.
it's but yeah,
Yeah.
they say we store our sexual energy in our facial hair. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've heard, and I'm like, oh, well,
Get that
that's a reason why the ladies they are drawn to the old mustache, bro. They,
get that semen retention happening.
uh-huh. Hey, which is another thing, bro. I've been walking a couple of my clients through semen retention, and not only just semen retention, but the transmutation. So Montauk Chia, one of my buddies, Vic. I helped him detox from parasites and all this other stuff, and then he was ready for the next level. So I was like, "What do you know about semen retention and transmutation?" So I hooked him up with the books, and he went and got his blood taken before he started semen retention, and got his testosterone levels and all of this stuff. And his testosterone, quite frankly, was in the dumper. And he just got his testosterone results last week, bro, and they have like jumped through the fucking roof, bro. Like,
Nice, nice, nice.
yeah, like 10x. It's wild.
Yeah. I don't have much of a before picture, but I did recently get a naturopath to help with some testosterone
Hmm.
uh, tests. And I'm in the like high normal, which is awesome because
Good.
I mean the like what should be theoretically normal and healthy, but at this point is not fucking normal. It's natural, but it's not normal.
Yeah.
Um, because so many people are, yeah, so many men are just oof, with the plastics and the soy and God knows whatever it
Mm.
is. I mean, that's a whole other topic we could dive into. But it's like, yeah, it's so important because there's so many things that we can do, uh, and most of us are not familiar with and not aware of it. And if you're busting a nut every
Oh
day, like I
yeah.
used to be years ago,
Oh yeah.
and it's so funny because the woman I'm seeing, like we've got clear boundaries right now on sex. We're not diving into full sexual connection until we really know that this is the right fit, because I have
Nice.
fucked up plenty of relationships like that in the past.
Hmm.
Now, and I mentioned, I said, well, like one time I just woke up and I felt particularly engaged in whatever dream that you and I were having, or that I was in. And then I just woke up and started working with that energy. Like I don't do
Yeah.
it all the time, but waking up with that morning wood's fantastic because then I
Oh
can
yeah.
cultivate that energy. And she goes,
Yep.
well, like, what did you do? Like, if do you, how do you know to stop? Do you stop? I'm like, now I just go until I find a moment where I feel like I've kind of feel satisfied with the experience. Then I take that energy and I start to bring it up, move it through the microcosmic orbit.
Yep.
Um, Maybe do some testicle slapping,
Hmm.
which is the funniest thing that our friend Jonathan David showed me. Uh,
Yeah.
I
He
remember
gets
I
into
walked
it,
in,
bro. That dude will
dude.
fucking ah! It's just like, damn, bro, calm down.
I remember one time we went to we were roommates for a while and we went to the same gym together. And I remember we would go in at 6 in the morning and then we would usually hit the sauna at like 7:30 or 8 before we left. And I remember walking in and the steam is just blasting. And then I hear this whap, 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 whap. Of course, I know who it is, right? I can
Yeah.
tell just by the sound. And the funniest thing was like, I was like, dude, for anyone else that might be coming in, that sounds like a very different sound than what you think it's going to be. So I know that you know what you're doing is a very powerful transmutation exercise, increase your testosterone, but any other man's going to walk in here and going to think it's one of them special types of men's bath houses. So,
Yeah.
but it's
Uh,
powerful stuff, man. It really is. I feel like uh, every man, we've been disconnected from these practices. um, I read a book recently where the authors is a couple. They've been talking about how they had he basically went for like, they've had sex over 1,000 times and he has not bust a nut. And
damn.
he's like, he's in his 60s. He doesn't, he's not having kids right now.
It's
It's like,
God mode.
otherwise, if you're not having kids, you just take that energy and cultivate it
Yeah.
through the slapping of the nuts and
Hmm.
the moving of it intentionally. And he's like, but what we do is we help our partner to have a deep cervical orgasm,
Yeah.
not just the clitoral stimulation, which can be kind of like the Takis or the Doritos of the sexual world.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
there's a deeper stimulation. He's like, but when you can help a woman reach that kind of orgasm, he's like, all I need to do is feel that, and I don't need an orgasm. I got
Wow.
exactly what I need because she's radiating so much energy
Oh
that
yeah.
I'm good, right? And so,
Wow.
yeah, that's some, there's so many benefits, but we've haven't been taught uh, these things, and now it's time for us to reclaim them.
Well, why do
And
you think yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no,
I was gonna say, why do you think Pornhub is free, bro? It's free, but it's not free. They want us dropping our load multiple times a day, dude. That's what they want because they know if we're doing that, we're just gonna be so easily controlled. Um, and and yeah, it's just a recipe for disaster. When I was doing meth, bro, dude, 20, 30 times a day, bro, I was dropping loads, dude. All day on my computer whacking off, dude, all day.
is that why meth heads are so thin?
Probably, dude. Probably because they're not eating for one, but they're just dropping loads, bro. That's why, like,
Uh,
God bless everybody I speak to, like my mentees and stuff now. Like, but I know, like, I can see, I know what that entails. So when they tell me they're addicted to meth and all this, I just know, bro. So it's like I'm able to connect with these guys, and I'm just like, yeah, dude, I get it. It's like an unspoken thing. And they think, they think by height, you could see the guilt and the shame that they walk around with because I walked around with the same thing. And I'm just like, bro, you don't have to, it's okay. Like it's part of the process. So just
yeah,
know.
well, and I'll tell you, I worked with one client who was from a wealthy family, is working for his family in a jewelry business, and he was in methamphetamines was his thing, and it went hand in hand with sex addiction.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember talking to one of our coaches in my NLP program, and he was like, just be real careful about tweaking anything on the unconscious mind around sex because it's so deep. And I helped him to release the belief that he was addicted to
Mm.
anything using a simple program. It took about 15 or 20 minutes. And within 3 days, he was in rehab because he brought over a bunch of guys. He is homosexual. So he brought over a bunch of guys, meth, sex, cops banging down on his
Oh,
door, neighbors, like called him in. And then his family sent him to rehab. And he was,
wow.
and I at that time I took that as my failure. I was like, I did something wrong. And now in retrospect, I realized that I would never have taken a meth addicted customer client on because there's too much of a physical chemical dependency on that stuff.
Mm.
Um, that there has to be a real process. We can't just go in and NLP it away. Like,
Yeah.
I can
Oh,
like you
yeah.
cannabis. It was a different thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then now I see that it was actually probably what got him to pop a fuse enough to where he went to rehab because that was probably the only way he was going to stop long enough to get it out of his system
Yep.
so that he could, make the changes that he needed to
Abs.
make in his life.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what that massive yeah, that's exactly, yeah, you didn't do anything wrong, bro. I feel like that's exactly what the process called for because a lot of times you have to have that big shock factor to not want to go back to the way you were living. Um, I got into big trouble whenever I was doing heroin and I just ended up burning the bridges, bro. And I'm like, this is what I have to do to not come back, bro. And it's, I ended up I can't say that worked completely, but it definitely helped for a time. And then
Mm.
my thing was women. I would go out around women. Women was a big, were a big factor, a deciding factor in me utilizing drugs because I would get into these relationships where where I felt like I needed to create fucking havoc, dude. And then I would fall back on the drugs after they broke up with me. I would basically push the women away to force them to break up with me. And then I would utilize drugs after that. And I didn't realize that was the subconscious loop that I was in. And it's like, oh, dude, what the fuck, bro? And I still, like, um, I can't say that, I've done a lot of work around that, but I know that the work has kind of come up through the stuff that I do with you and all of the other stuff that I work with my mentees. It shows its face. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's what's happening there. So I'm able to make the correlation with that in my own life, and,
Yeah, super important.
yeah, I haven't really got back into the dating scene yet. It's been, after my son died, I just knew that I needed to take a breather on dating women. And, I've been on a couple dates where we went to lunch and different things, but, I just, there's a lot of shadow work that I had to get done. And now it's like getting to the point where I'm starting to meet women that are very interesting, and I'm starting to see that I have a different outlook on the way that I think about them and the way that I look at like potential, suitors, So it's definitely an interesting process to see, all of this stuff kind of unfold, as I get further in.
Relationships is huge, man. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I feel like probably two of the biggest areas of challenge, of difficulty, is food and
Yeah.
relationships slash sex. But that should make perfect sense considering that's like we are born of our parents through a
Mm.
sexual process. We are born into a world where we come out, and the first thing that we do is latch onto the nipple, for those of us that were fortunate enough to actually get breastfed.
Yeah.
um, and I think that's, those are some of the deepest roots, right? So they're gonna, sex and relationships brings up all kinds of stuff. There's this idea that we just end up dating our mother or our father, or some aspect of both. There's
Yeah.
the whole thing with the anima and the animus, which are Carl Jung would describe as like projecting some ideal aspect onto a woman from a male's
Mm.
perspective, or whatever it is. And I've
Yeah.
seen that in myself. And I'm like, why is it that all the women that I'm interested in are musicians or artists or poets or photographers? It's like, well, it's
Mm.
because I have aspects of my own creativity that I have not allowed myself to express. And so, of
Mm.
course, I'm going to pedestalize somebody who's doing that, because I'm like, oh, yeah, I love it. So they're so beautiful. It's like, I want to be doing that. And I'm not
Mm.
allowing myself to do it for me, it's mostly a capitalist, business oriented kind of like, if it doesn't produce money, then you don't do it kind of a thing.
Mm.
That's a program that I've been working through and releasing now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would encourage, so many of my clients will come in and they're like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And then I want to have a relationship. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Pump the brakes.
fucking let's start right here
Yeah.
first.
Uh-huh.
And then when you're feeling like you can even begin to have some self-love, then we can start talking about something else, because otherwise you're just going to be using the relationship as a drug.
Mm. Yeah.
And I mean, and as Tim
Yep.
Fletcher, fantastic speaker and psychologist, therapist, who focuses on healing addiction through the understanding of complex PTSD, or CPTSD, complex post-traumatic disorder, stress disorder, which is basically like complex traumas that you just didn't get what you needed when you were a child, when you were younger.
Yep.
And um, you, he's like, as soon as you get rid of the substances, sugar, sex, and money, those are the
Mm.
things. And man,
Yeah.
that was like 2024 for me.
Yeah.
Was that was like a handful of relationships that really brought some shit to light. Some very impulsive spending, which is
Mm.
also a sign of ADHD, or executive functioning disorder,
Mm.
as might be a better name for it. And yeah, food, like
Food, bro.
hyper restrictive, getting lots of gains from being hyper restrictive, but then also that's hyper restrictive, and there's
Yeah.
a punishment aspect to it. There's all these other things. And so, for me now, it's like, how can I honor my body and be in love and balance of it, and not just, okay, I'm only, the juice fast for me, 40 days of juice was epic. I would do it again in a heartbeat, but also I know that just would fall me back into unless I had a specific intention for it, it put me back into a hyper restrictive eating
Yeah.
disorder aspect of life. And
Yep.
so, yeah, it's just, there's, people that come to me around food. It's like, I had a guy recently, or had a woman recently, who was like, hey, you helped my friend quit smoking. And she was a massive cigarette smoker and cannabis smoker. And I'd love to do this with alcohol. And I was like, can't do it in one session. Not
Mm-hmm.
going to do it in one session. There's just too many other things. There's a physical addiction component to it.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's so much that goes with that.
Oh yeah.
We got to slow it down a little bit. And then she was really irritated. She was really irritated that I couldn't fix her problem in one day. And I'm like,
uh,
I was like, and I said, I can help you in 90 days.
yeah.
And she was like, no, it's too much money. It's too big of an investment. My life is too stressful right now. And I was like,
Oh
your life is too stressful because you're making it stressful. Wouldn't you like to not do that anymore?
yeah.
And she was like, no. I'm like, all right. I had a guy recently reach out to me about food. And he's like, I'm procrastinating and I got food issues. And I'm like, cool. Those are definitely tied together. And then
Yeah.
he's explained to me a little bit more. And he's like, and really, I've got a big leap that I want to take in my business. And I'm just, I'm like, well, those are all connected. And
Yeah.
I wish I could just one session magic that away, but there's some deeper roots. You are protecting yourself from the unknown. There's a
Yeah.
bigger version of you out there that wants to come through. And also it's fucking scary.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm dealing with some of that too, around food and procrastination and all that. And one of these days we'll get into it, but I understand that first of all, these things didn't happen overnight. So, and to have that mind frame of wanting to get it done in one session is fucking bonkers to me. It was mind blowing to me that you could help me with the cannabis in one session, which, fuck, man. I feel like that was years and years building up to that, but for you to sit
Yep.
there and to help me in that 60 minutes really connect and get these intentions down and these visions in my head, that was mind blowing to me. But I understand with alcohol, with crack, with meth, you can't fucking do that. Heroin, yeah, bro, because if you help somebody stop drinking one day, bro, and they're a lifelong alcoholic, bro, you're gonna fucking kill them.
Mhm.
They will
Yep.
go into shock, and it's one of those things where you really need to have professional help with somebody that can help you wean off. And
Yeah.
your services would be, like you said, over 90 days, 120
Yeah.
days, and but
I
serious,
was like, can you wait 3 months? Like, can you go 3 months is not that long. Some people go to
no,
rehab and they have to white knuckle this shit. Some people
yeah,
get fucking thrown to jail 16 times before they make those decisions, right? Like I
yeah,
mean, you've been through your own version of that.
yeah,
But that's like this obsession that we have over the reason they got into that position is because they wanted to just take one thing and feel better.
mm-hmm,
And so
yeah,
to undo that, you can't just take one thing and then feel better, right?
yeah,
That's it doesn't work like that. And
yep,
it's just so funny how we get this it's just this like it's got to happen now, it's got to happen now. And I'm like, for me it was the neurochemistry thing was a big thing because this woman was taking antidepressants at the same time as drinking
ooh,
several beers a
ooh,
day or whatever it was. And
ooh,
I was like, no, I cannot do anything for you in a short period of time. There has to be a structured plan. There has to be a strategy, and we can do this. This is totally possible. But I didn't understand until I went through my process because I was smoking 5-MeO DMT on a
mm,
weekly basis, and I was
mm,
rocketing my serotonin levels, and then they would crash.
yeah,
And and so nature loves to create balance, and balance is the equally high with the equally low to find that
yeah,
middle ground, that natural middle
yep,
ground. But
yep,
the thing is that what I had to learn about neurochemistry because it wasn't just a 1 day fix. I mean, I was like, I started working with electrostim on the earlobes, which helps to help you to produce serotonin naturally. I was
mm,
working with breathing techniques. I was working with um, visualization, mental technique. Like I was working with everything,
yeah,
nutrition and all this other stuff, gut healing, because there's so much of the chemicals that come from our gut production in our gut. There's so
yep,
many things, and it's just like you cannot. Yes, I can help you make changes in your unconscious mind drastically. However, your unconscious mind will make those changes again going back in the other direction because it knows that the brain chemistry is so fucked that it actually would put you into risk if it continued this quote unquote healthier path.
mm,
You have to do it in a measured process. And yeah, it is
man,
funny that people get so irritated that I can't fix them in 1 day. And I'm like, but 90 days is impressive.
oh yeah,
Like,
oh yeah, that's crazy for a lifelong habit. And my whole thing is, whatever people are willing to admit that they are doing is probably tenfold in their secret life, you know. So it's like, are you really having 3 beers and then you're what's it called? You're probably having a case of beer every night or liquor, and that's how it was with me. That's why when I talk to my mentees, I'm just like, okay, cool. I take everything that I hear with a grain of salt, and I just know that I inflate, you know, whatever they
Double
tell
it,
me.
triplet. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how I was. I was never wanting to like really come out with it and get honest, you know, like fuck,
Oh
man.
yeah. I mean, or I just yeah. It's like three beers a night.
Yeah, yeah. To start, you know,
Mm,
I chug
yeah.
3, and then
Get revved up.
yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, I gotta I want to go, and there's a really nice vegan restaurant here in town I want to go get to, and
Yeah.
before it gets too late, because I tomorrow I'm going to be taking a day of fasting,
Yep.
and then after that we're going to be starting our jungle hike
Nice.
to the big Mayan pyramids, and so I feel
Nice,
like it's
bro.
a good time to to really hone in. And by the way, if y'all
Yeah.
haven't done any fasting, that's probably the most powerful medicine that exists.
Yep. Yep. I'm
Oddly enough,
starting.
just not putting something in your mouth.
Yeah. I start mine on Sunday. I've been doing a 20, me and Hildy have been doing a Sunday fast, and I'm gonna extend every first of the month. I am, or the, you know, the first weekend of every month, I'm gonna extend it a 72-hour fast. So,
Ooh,
yeah, so I mean, I'm
nice.
looking forward to it because I get so much clarity around even just a 24-hour fast, you know. Yeah, I may get a little hungry, but I know that for one, I'm probably not hydrating myself well enough, and whenever I drink enough water, um, you know, and I'll take my Shilajit and different things. So I know I'm at least getting my minerals. But yeah, that water fast it's fucking impressive, dude. It's so
Super.
cool how our bodies really work, dude, and how they were designed, you know. So once we start treating them with the respect and stop bombarding them with garbage, it's cool to see how they bounce back. And the human growth hormone that comes from a 72-hour fast is crazy. Um, but yeah, man, have a good dinner. I've got my breathwork thing tomorrow, so I'm gonna get on and get a little honing done on my guided meditation, and that's really been my favorite part, bro. Is guiding these people back in, you know, guiding them back inwards. And tomorrow should be pretty special. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, where's Saturdays? You guys are doing every Saturday?
Every Saturday, we meet at this restaurant, coffee shop called The Pour on
Mhm,
Front Beach. It's part of the Ark Church, and I do a
mhm.
lot of work with them. I'll send mentees and stuff over. They have an outreach program where they put people up that are either homeless or in transition from jail to back into real life. You know, they've got a whole thing, and they're doing really good work, bro. So we meet there at 8 o'clock in the morning and then go across the street to the beach, do some guided meditation, some breath work, cold plunge, and then we go back to the pour for we buy everybody coffee that showed up to the plunge. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's been a good experience.
Yeah, well, I got the church bells going off in the back here, so
Oh,
I
nice.
think that's time to go.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, hang tight, and yeah, good to connect with you.